When we think about the greatest figures in American history, we usually imagine innovation, success, and progress. Names like Thomas Edison and Henry Ford are often associated with genius and transformation. They built industries, changed how people live, and helped shape the modern world. But history is rarely that simple. Behind the success, there are stories that don't always make it into textbooks. Stories about power, control, and decisions that raise serious ethical questions. Today, we're taking a closer look at the darker side of two American legends and asking whether greatness always comes at a cost. Thomas Edison is often remembered as one of the most important inventors in history. He held over 1,000 patents and played a major role in developing technologies like the phonograph and the electric light bulb. To many, he represents creativity, persistence, and innovation. But Edison wasn't just an inventor. He was also a businessman who understood the power of influence, and sometimes he used that influence in controversial ways. One of the most well-known examples is his rivalry with Nikola Tesla. In the late 19th century, the world was on the edge of an electrical revolution, and the big question was, what kind of electrical system would power the future? Edison supported direct current, also known as DC, while Tesla promoted alternating current, AC, which was more efficient over long distances. Instead of letting the technologies compete on their own merits, Edison launched a public campaign against AC because he wanted people to believe that Tesla's system was dangerous. To prove his point, Edison organized demonstrations where animals were electrocuted using alternating current, and these events were designed to shock the public both literally and emotionally. Even more controversially, Edison's influence extended to the development of the first electric chair, where alternating current was used for executions to reinforce the association between AC electricity and death. This was not just a scientific disagreement, it was a strategic move in a battle for control over an entire industry. In the end, Tesla's system proved to be more practical and became the global standard we still use today. But the methods Edison used during that rivalry continue to raise serious questions about his legacy and whether he was purely a visionary or a man willing to do whatever it took to win. Henry Ford is another name that is almost impossible to ignore when talking about American history. He did not invent the automobile, but he made it accessible to the masses. With the introduction of the Model T and the moving assembly line, Ford revolutionized manufacturing. Cars went from luxury items to something ordinary people could afford. Factories became more efficient. Production increased and modern industry was transformed. But Ford's impact went far beyond engineering and business because he also used his platform to spread ideas that were deeply controversial and harmful. In the early 20th century, Ford owned a newspaper called the Dearborn Independent, and through this publication, he promoted anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. Week after week, the paper published articles blaming Jewish communities for economic and social problems, and these writings reached a massive audience because at the time Ford was one of the most influential figures in the United States. His words carried weight, and they did not stay confined to one country. The ideas spread internationally and contributed to a broader climate of prejudice. Eventually, Ford faced significant backlash. He was sued for libel and later issued a public apology, claiming he was unaware of the content being published under his name. But many historians question how genuine that apology really was, because by then, the damage had already been done. Ford's story is a powerful reminder that influence is not just about innovation, it is also about responsibility. And when that responsibility is ignored, the consequences can be far-reaching. Looking back at these stories, one thing becomes clear. History is not as simple as heroes and villains. The same people who changed the world for the better were also capable of actions that are difficult to ignore. Edison helped bring light into people's homes, but used fear as a weapon against his competitors. Ford transformed industry, but also used his influence to spread harmful ideas. So, how should we remember them? As innovators, as flawed individuals, or as something in between? Maybe the real lesson is this: we should not stop questioning the past, because the more we understand the full story, the better we understand the world we live in today.